All right, so welcome back. Usually after when we go through, like, here's how you register for classes, or here's how I understand, like, the information being said and being told to you. And then usually we send students on their way and they're like, that's cool, but like, I don't know what to take. And again, one of the differences between high school and college is, you know, your counselors in high school usually tell you, well, you have to take these exact classes. In college, it's a little different. So I'm going to show you kind of some ways to figure out like what you have to take, as well as looking at some degree programs that can help you also with your career exploration project that you're working on to give you some ideas of like what careers, what jobs you want to take, as well as looking at the classes that maybe you need for those. That way, so when you meet with your advisor, you are like, hey, I think these classes will work. So hitting 2 of your assignments at the same time. So the first thing we're going to do is, this is the easiest way to do it, is just look for LSD degree program. And it's going to bring up here, so we're going to hit programs, once I find my mouse, programs of study. So you'll hear a couple of different words for this. So programs of study, degree programs, degree plans, they are all the exact same thing. What they are is basically the classes that you need to take in order to obtain that degree. So for example, if you want an associate's in biology, those are the classes you need to take in order to get your associate's in biology. Or if you're into welding, here's the classes you need to take in order to get your associate's in welding or certificate. That's all that is. They mean all the same thing. So we're going to come here, and this will list all of the programs. We're going to scroll down till you find here. All of the programs that are offered by Lone Star College System. So it starts off, there are some bachelor's degrees that are offered. If you want to look by degree, there's Associates of Arts and Associates of Science. So if you're just like, well, I want, an Associates of Science, you can click there and see what they're offered. We're going to go down now and we're going to do some kind of exploration. And here you're listing all the different kind of topics and subjects that we offer. So again, I'm going to pick on biology. So let's say we're interested in biology. That sounds kind of interesting. So we're going to click it. So what's going to happen is it's going to pop up here. So it'll list the program. So it'll list biology program. It'll list the kind of degree you'll get. So Lone Star College offers an Associates of Science in biology. And it'll give you a brief overview of the program. So this program is 2 years. It'll only take you 2 years to complete. You can transfer, academic transfer degree means that you can transfer to another college to finish out and get your 4-year bachelor's degree. Like I said here, usually it leads to a bachelor's of science. You have to get that at a 4-year university. And then the full program is offered at basically means all of the classes that you have to take in order to get that degree. It'll list the campuses that they're offered at. So for biology, these are all the various campuses that you can take all these classes to get those degrees at. It'll list some general information here about median salary, job openings. I believe they're from down here, the occupational employment statistics. I would highly recommend Googling specific careers in order to get that information, because a lot of the degree programs are very broad. It's like biology is a very broad thing. There's a lot of things you can do with that to get more accurate information. If you want information on a program, you can put your information here and say, hey, I want some more info. If you haven't applied, you can apply to the program. If you're thinking of potentially transferring, so basically starting at Lone Star College, going to whether it's UH, UHD, wherever you want, this is some information here. You can look at degree programs. I would definitely advise you talking to your advisors about that, because they will know all about that way more than I do. What we're actually looking for is way down at the bottom here. So program pathway. So this here is going to list all of the classes that you need to take and what semesters you ideally should take them in for getting, in this example that I'm using, an Associates of Science in Biology. So here, for example, let's walk through it. So the first semester, they recommend you take all these classes. So BIOL is Biology 1406. It lists, this is the course number here, what we call the course number. This is the number that if you want to see what classes are available, you're going to search this. So for example, if you're like, well, I want to see what options of EDUC 1300 there are, so that's what you would search in that class search. And in that class search for registering for classes. This is the title of the course, so that way if you're like looking at PHED 1164, like I didn't know what that was. So it's Introduction to Physical Fitness and Wellness. And then over here, it will list the number of credit hours for each class. So for example, you can see that Biology 1406 is 4 credit hours, whereas the PE course is just 1. This will list the total credit hours for each semester. So you can see kind of the load for that semester. Now, that being said, you do not have to take these courses. If you're like, but I work full time and I have a family and I have other things to do, I cannot take, that's fine. It just means you may take a little bit longer to get done, and that's perfectly fine. That's totally okay. It just means that this is the general order you should go in when taking these classes. Now, so let's say we take those. You can look in the second semester, and you can see, okay, we have Biology 1407, more Gen Chem. Then we reach these courses where it says core. So core means, I don't think it'll pop up with anything if you search it in the class register, so don't do that. So core just means that these are classes that were determined by the Texas State Education people that we believe that students should be taking. So these are usually like your English classes, your history classes, government, basically kind of that well-rounded student. So here it says core social, and they're divided into groups. So social behavioral sciences is one group. So it'll say course options listed. So if we want to see what options will meet this requirement, because you can't just take any classes to fill those requirements. It has to be certain classes that are approved. So we want to see, well, what classes fit. So you're just going to hit this, the blue highlighted, the catalog. It's going to bring you to this page. There's a lot of general other information. Some of it I've kind of already got, some of it, sorry, I've kind of already gone over. But if you want to read more, there's more there. It's going to have a more detailed program guide, which we were just looking at. So, right, the first semester, the 1406, Gen Chem 1412, all of that. So we can see that. So we're going to go, because we were looking in the second semester, and we were looking at here, it says Core Social Behavioral Sciences. And it's going to list all of these classes. So here it says complete 3 credit hours from any of these classes. So you'll see here again the course number, the title of the course, and this little number out here is the credit hours. So 3 credit hours, we need 3 credit hours. So in order to satisfy this particular course requirement, you would take one of any of these classes. So if you're like, I really think cultural anthropology is cool, you could take that class and it would count. If you're like, that's boring, I want Mexican American politics, you could take that. You could take world civilizations. You just need one of these courses. But it has to be from this list in order to fulfill this guideline. So you can hit back to go back to this here. You can see third semester. This can be mini-master. You can talk with your advisor on how to work that into where you need it to be. And then you come here and it lists some more core classes, right? So, for example, here it says math. We need math. So we would, again, click the catalog. Scroll down to the semester we were looking at. So we were looking at, I believe, the 4th semester. Yes, we were. All right, so here it says math. All right, and we need 4 credit hours in order to satisfy this requirement. So, for example, if you're like, well, I want to take pre-cal, that would count. But if you only take stats, you would have to take another class as well because it's only 3 and you need 4 credit hours. So if you're curious about any of the classes, you're like, let's say I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So let's pick, we'll take pre-cal as an example. So if you want information about the course, just click the course. It'll bring you to the bottom for reasons I don't understand. But it'll list information about the course. Here we'll tell you any prereqs. So in order, for example, to take pre-cal, you would need to complete one of the following. So either complete some courses or a placement test. So you have to take trig and college algebra in order to take pre-cal. So for example, let's just go back to this. Scroll all the way back down. So let's say I'm looking for a math class. Missed it, my bad. So let's say I'm looking for a math class. So I think it would be neat to take pre-cal because it would be one class. I would get it out of the way, right? So I click on pre-cal and realize, okay, well, I need to take college algebra and I need to take trig in order before I take, because these are listed as prereqs, right? And I haven't taken those classes. So that means I can't take pre-cal because I have to take those classes first, which means when I come back here, back down to the math classes, it means I have to pick a different course, basically. So that means I have to take probably college algebra. And then because college algebra is only 3 credits, I do have to take another math class, probably trig as well, just to kind of cover my bases. And then that will satisfy because college algebra alone is only 3 credits, but I need 4. So that's where you'll be over, but you have to meet that requirement. All right. And so it gives you this semester by semester, so you can go through and look through and say, oh, okay, like these are the classes I need. This is also a way to kind of get an idea if you're unsure, you're like, well, I don't know what I want to do. Hey, that's perfectly fine. And if you change your mind, that's totally fine as well too. But if you're like, well, I don't really know what I want to do, you can go through these programs and get an idea of what you want. So like, for example, let's figure out, pick a course. Let's do computer programming. So we'll pick computer programming. We're just curious about it. It'll give me a career overview, program. So here it has an associate's degree, I think Associates of Arts and Science. There, so some programs have degrees as well as certificates, so they'll list them separately. So usually what you're going to look at is the degree. We're going to come to the degree. We're going to see, okay, it's only 2 years. That's kind of nice. You can enter the workforce quickly. They do tend to make a lot of money. Let's see what kind of classes they take. So here, elective means that you get to kind of pick the courses again that fall under that particular, catalog. So for example, like this one, so Introduction to Computers. Let's see what classes they want for that particular class. So we'll scroll down. You're going to come here to the curriculum plan. Again, same thing as degree plan, degree program, it's all the same thing. So here, complete 3 credit hours from the following Introduction to Computers. So any of these courses. And if you hover over it, it'll give you a brief description of the class. So like, because I have no idea what the class is, it's talking about hardware, software, procedures, things like that. So like, okay, we'll go back. Let's see what other classes they have to take. So this particular one, the way it's divided, if you come here and it says like certificate, it means that if you complete these classes, you're going to get a certificate. And then if you're only in it for the certificate program, done, good to go. Or you can continue on to get a level 2 certificate, continue with these classes, and then continue on again until you get your associates. So it's kind of like a stepwise program. So let's say, you know what, this doesn't sound interesting to me. Let's go back. Maybe. There we go. We're going to hit back again. But you can just use this to kind of scroll around, go through things. If you're looking at biology and you're like, you know what, there's a lot of math involved or there's too much science, maybe not the career choice for you. If you're like, well, if you want to be done really fast, maybe don't pick the bachelor's degree. Let's look at English, for example. You can come down, you're like, I don't know. I would say there's a lot of writing in English that's kind of boring, so I'd pick something different. So you can use this to kind of prep for your future advising appointment that you have coming up. Kind of look through and be like, well, okay, I've already taken these classes. These are the ones I need to take next. Does that sound good? Any suggestions? Because sometimes there are classes you don't want to take together at the same time. For example, like do not take A&P and physics at the same time. Those are very tough classes to be taking at the same time. Don't do that. And there's other classes that maybe not. Maybe they can also talk to you if you're working full-time and you've got other obligations, then maybe not being a full-time student is in your best interest, whatever kind of your situation is. The other thing I would recommend is that when you find your program or something you like, go ahead and print it. Like, print this out, and that way you can kind of check off, like, I've done this, and it's easy to see what classes you still have left. And it's also kind of a nice, like, check mark for you to be like, oh, look, I'm almost done, or I'm almost there. And again, you can also use this for your career exploration projects. If you're trying to, like, I have no idea what I want to pick, I have no idea what I want to do. Again, that's totally fine. You do have to pick something, turn something in, but look it over and kind of give you an idea of, like, what you're interested in, what career paths have, a lot of stuff. If you don't like math, kind of figure out, okay, these careers have too much math, I prefer these ones, anything like that. So hopefully this gives you guys an idea of what these degree programs are, and a better idea of kind of what classes you should be taking, and a better idea of where to go to find what classes you need to be taking.